Hi, that I am. Oh, have you made the pancakes yet?
I'm working on it. This is what the batter will look like after 2 minutes and one more beating. Almost all the lumps are out.
Amazing.
You'll have a few, so don't worry. You don't have to let it sit for another 2 hours. After 2 hours, it's pretty much ready to go. Beat it one more time. Should be good.
Can you leave it sit longer than the 2 hours?
I have left it sit longer than 2 hours, and it kind of starts to go weird because it's got a lot of milk in it. It's got eggs in it. You run the risk of it starting to go sour, especially if you're cooking outside and it's hot. If you're outside and it's hot and you're cooking and you need to let it sit for 2 hours, put it someplace cool. If you're at home, it can just sit on your countertop and be perfectly fine. Okay. But if you're outside in the heat, it needs to be someplace cool. I usually hide mine in my tent because my tent tends to be cooler. It keeps it from going bad quicker, but it still gets to do what it needs to do. So
what now?
I am ready to finish frying. As you can see, I've already started.
Oh.
So you want to take your pan, put it on your fire, put a little butter on the inside. Now, if you are like me and you do a lot of making your own clothes and such, and you start to make things out of wool, always save your wool scraps because you can stitch them together into large pieces and they make great covers for your food if something needs to rise, keep things warm, or in this case, keep my hands from burning as I'm cooking.
Well, I got hot sauce.
So you want your pan hot, but not so hot that it starts to burn.
Now, why did you set it off to the side like that?
Most of my heat is over here. It's cooler over here. My butter is starting to brown, which means I'm close to it burning, and I don't want it to burn. So to cool it off, I've moved it off to the side. When you cook, you kind of can tell where the hot heat is, and when something starts to overheat like this, how to move it off so it cools down, but you still can do the cooking that you need to do.
Good to know.
Now this pancake batter, as you can see, is very, very thin, and that's fine because it's very crepe-like. And with it being like that, that means you can make it any size that you wish. In my case, right now, I'm making them rather large.
Now, what do you mean by thin exactly?
It's not, when you make traditional modern pancakes, the dough tends to be rather thick, and it'll puff up. But when you go to pour it off traditional batter, when you pour it off like that, it doesn't want to pour as easily. It takes longer to come off the spoon. This is almost like milk.
So
it'll be thin.
I wasn't sure. I wanted to ask.
Now when you're cooking these, you want to watch the edges. As they start to cook like this, and they start to look dry around the edges, and the middle will start to dry up here in a few minutes, that's how you know it's ready to flip. And always remember, the first 1 or 2 pancakes are always duds. That's called dog food. Or you can feed it to your younger brother or sister. That works too. They won't know. As long as you put a little sugar on top, they'll be fine.
But not fathers.
Well, it depends on what the father's done to you that day.
I
have fed it to my brother, and he could care less as long as I put enough sugar on top. He's a happy person. I made this one a little big, as you can see, but you flip it. That's what it'll kind of look like.
And do you have to have one of these things to cook it on, or can you do it other ways?
If you're doing it at home, you can do it on your stovetop with any type of pan you want. I prefer cast iron. It's the southern in me. You can use cast iron. You can use any pan you have. You can use one of those electric griddles that you see sit on top of countertops. It's pretty much the same way. You want to do butter or oil. You can use any type of oil you want. When your second side looks a lot like your first, nice and brown, that's how you know both sides are done. Anyway, get your pan hot, put a little bit of butter or oil on it, and then you just start making your pancakes. When I'm inside and I'm not living in the 18th century, I will use a measuring cup because it helps make more consistent sized pancakes. And there are times that you will have to add more butter to it. It just can't stop. I think I should have done that on this one. It may burn a little bit. We'll see. Anyway, it helps make more consistent pancakes. These I like because I can make them any size, because then I can put whatever filling or topping I want, which we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But best way, I don't have any with me to show you, best way to tell if your pan is hot enough is to take a little bit of water on your fingertips and flick it in, and if it sizzles and pops and dances all across your pan, it's hot.
Wow.
And you can add your butter, and then when your butter melts and starts to bubble like it was earlier, that's when you know it's hot enough to put your pancake on.
Oh, I see those edges, what you're talking about on that one. That's really showing up well.
Almost. I'm making it a little too big for my pan. I should have put some more butter on the bottom so it's sticking. That'll go to the dogs. But you get the idea.
I like the brownness on it. It looks delicious.
Hopefully it is. And like I said, you can make it any size that you want, and do this for all of your pancakes that you want to make in the 18th century style. Now, if you're at an event, living history event, or you want to try this at home on an open fire, I would suggest using a grill, because if you're at home, the grill is contained. And you treat it like you would an open fire at an event. And you can still put your pan carefully. I would suggest using your cast iron on your grill. It'll be a mess, but it'll not, your mother won't be quite so mad at you if you use her nice stainless steel pans. Speaking from experience, use cast iron.
I've been there.
So, use cast iron. Anyway, you can use the grill, or if you're at an event, use cast iron. You can use one of these. I have, I'm going to sit this off on the ground because it's really hot. If you're at an event, you can use something called a spider pan. That's a pan like that, but it has real long legs on it. You can use that, and you can sit that over some hot coals near the fire if you have a fire pit or something like that. Or I have a hanging grill that I'll hang over the actual flames, and I can do 4 or 5 pancakes on that, and it spins, and I can control my heat by where the pancake or the griddle happens to spin.
So you mass produce them that way?
Yes, and when you're at events and you have a long line of people going, we want breakfast, you need to mass produce.
I see. So what do we do with them now? I mean, could you eat them now?
You could eat them like this. I've eaten them like this on the run real quick. And we're going to come back over here.
Oh, sorry.
In the 18th century, the most popular way to eat them in this particular recipe tells you to do this is you take it and you, actually I'll get a smaller one. As you can see, I made some different sizes just to show you that you can make them different sizes. And if you use a measuring cup, or if you're at an event, you use some type of, a lot of times will use a measuring cup, an 18th century style measuring cup, because I know exactly how much batter I'm putting and I can control the size. But anyway, you would use cinnamon and sugar.
Well, that sounds good.
And you could send it up like that. Or another traditional way.
What do you mean by send it up?
The kitchens were not like our kitchens. A lot of times they were detached from the house, especially during the summer. Or they were rooms away, and they would call it send it up, where you would take a nice big stack of these layered with sugar, pancake, sugar, pancake, sugar, pancake. You send it to the table, and they would eat it hot. That's one reason why I like, which I just burnt, my wool, because it helps keep them warm. Now, one thing that you can also do, cinnamon sugar, you can eat it like that, or take a lemon. If you don't have a lemon, use bottled lemon juice, it works, but I like to use fresh lemon. Take it, roll it on the table because you heat it up, and that also helps release all the juices and loosen the juices up so more juice comes out of your lemon.
Oh.
Slice it in half, and just a little bit.
With the cinnamon and sugar?
With the cinnamon and sugar. And that is actually how they still serve them in Great Britain.
Oh, you don't say.
If you go there, you'll have to ask them for maple syrup, because this is how they will send it up. Now, if you use a whole lemon half, do not throw it away. Save this, because you're not at a camp. You can freeze this, and then you can throw it into any type of stock that you want to make, and it adds just that little bit of something that you don't know you need until you have it, and then when you have it without, you miss.
I see.
Now, if I'm at a camp, I will actually keep these, because a lot of times I am making stock throughout the weekend, and you'll see me just chuck them into a pot with chicken parts, or I'll throw it in when I'm making rice, because it adds some flavor, and you can easily pull them out. Sometimes also in the summer when water isn't enough, you can just take it and drop it in your cup, and you got lemonade.
Oh, that sounds good.
So you can eat it like this with some cinnamon and sugar. Or my favorite way, this is why I have a big pancake. Take a big pancake, whipped cream.
Oh, they had whipped cream back then?
Oh, yeah.
How did they have whipped cream? Like, I know today we have to put it in something called a refrigerator to keep it good. How did they have it back then?
Excuse me, I inhaled some cinnamon. Anyway, how you can make whipped cream today much like they would back then, only we have mixers now which make it a lot easier. What you do is you take about a pint of heavy whipping cream, about a tablespoon of either powdered sugar or regular sugar. Powdered sugar tends to work better because it's much smoother. You can put it in your mixer with the whisk attachment, turn it on high, and you beat it until firm peaks form, which basically is when you take the whisk, you dip it in, and you scoop it up, and you turn it upside down, and those, if you can see them, the peaks like that stand up. Much past that, and you have butter.
Gotcha.
But what you can do if you make your own whipped cream is you can add about a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and you have cinnamon whipped cream.
Oh.
You could add about a tablespoon of cocoa powder, and now you have chocolate whipped cream.
Oh, you don't say.
Oh yeah, you can add, before you start mixing everything, you can add some vanilla or peppermint or whatever kind of extract that you like, and then you mix it and it does what it does.
Oh, I'll be.
You also
Never
want
would've
to
thought.
add your flavoring at the same time at the beginning. Any flavoring you want to use, you put at the beginning. And if you have to, I don't know why, but if you really want to, you can add food coloring at the very beginning and make it whatever color you feel like. If you're doing something for the 4th of July, you can make red, white, and blue. St. Patty's Day, you could go green. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can.
Because it's St. Patty's Day.
You don't do that. Now, what I also like to do with my whipped cream, because this is my favorite way to do it, is I like to take some berries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Now, actually, I will do more blueberries because those are my favorite. Can't go wrong with blueberries. And there you go.
Oh, just like that.
Just like that. Now, blueberries and raspberries are more of a summer type of fruit. I happen to have them because we have the luxury of grocery stores. Strawberries would be getting ready to come on in June, and you could use that. But you can use any fruit that's in season or any of your favorite fruits that you happen to like. Put them on like that. Serve them like however you want. You can do whatever fruit you feel like. Some recipes call to serve it up with warmed up jam. So take your favorite store-bought jelly, or if you were like me and make your own, you can take it, you can dump it into a small pan and slowly heat it up. A lot of stoves have a warming section on your stovetop. You just sit the pan on there and let it slowly warm and it'll melt. It's kind of like syrup, only it's got a lot of flavoring and you do very little work for it. But you can do it that way. You can serve it with maple syrup if you want. If you like maple syrup, do it that way. I like to sneak in some honey when my dad's making coffee and pour honey all over it. Another way, I have some friends who like to take them and they will fill them with eggs and bacon or any of your favorite pork product and roll it up. These are great to go.
Kind of like a burrito.
What's a burrito?
With a rolled up piece of food.
Okay, that works. If you make them really big, these are great for on the go because you can fill them with whatever you want, roll them up, and you can eat them like what you're talking about, whatever a burrito is. But you can eat them on the go if you are doing an event and you've got a very short amount of time, but you need a lot of food. If you don't know when you're going to eat lunch, this is great to make these relatively large. Fill them with the scrambled eggs. If you don't like eggs like I don't, fill it with fried potatoes and some type of meat. I usually do sausage. Sometimes you can do bacon. And it's a quick meal that will fill you up and get you through the day.
I have one more question for you. With all this talk of what you told me and showed me here and everything, when do we get to eat?
In a little bit. Now, I do have a hint for kids at home. Since we're all stuck and can't really do much, make a pancake night. Make this recipe with your family, and make a buffet kind of like this with all the different toppings. Include chocolate syrup, caramel syrup. Treat it like ice cream if you want. And have fun with your family and enjoy the time you get to spend. And I guess I'll share my pancake.
Oh, bless you, child. Bless you, child.
Ah, fork.
Ah.